I think I spent a lot of my life being so numb that I missed so many moments where he was like saving me, catching me, positioning me, shifting me.
Welcome back to Pushing the Pen. I'm your host, Brooklyn Simone, and I'm so excited for today's guest, none other than Erica Knox, aka EK the Mogul. So for anybody who's not familiar with Erica, let me just give you a little bit about her. So Erica is native to California with roots to New York City. Erica is a woman of the world and a wealth of wisdom. By trade, she's a public relations and social impact strategist at BET Media Group. She empowers and equips the next generation of moguls as a powerhouse transformational speaker and coach while using storytelling to move culture forward as a captivating creative producer. How are you feeling today?
Wow, that is a tough act to follow.
I'm just trying to be like you.
Right. I'm feeling amazing though. I'm so happy. I'm so like full of joy.
Yes, you look
happy
good.
To be here. You
Yes,
look good.
you radiating. Like you brought the energy with you today.
Look, we came with the colors.
Yes,
we did the assignment.
Yes,
so.
indeed. So you honestly have just been like on a very lively 2-week tour.
Girl.
BET Awards, Essence Fest, your 2 launch parties. So I know before we get into those things, I want to know a little bit more about you. You know, how did we get here? How did EK the Mogul come to be? Tell us something we don't know.
Well, like my bio says, native to LA. So I was born in Inglewood, California.
Okay.
I have 4 siblings. So I'm a big sister to 1, but a little sister to 3 others. And
all girls.
Well, there's 2 boys, 2 girls.
Okay.
And then I have like a whole another like extended family. I have about 12 siblings total. And so we moved from California to Brooklyn. And so I grew up in between both places. So I grew up with all the Mexican candies with tajin, but also like getting light in Brooklyn streets growing up. And how did EK the Mogul come about? EK the Mogul was a declaration for me. It came about in one of like my lowest seasons ever. I think I just felt so worthless. I felt so unworthy of life. I felt so unworthy of like anything. And I doubted everything that came to my mind. But that was just a result of like me making mistakes, which we do when you grow. It's like, Erica, beating myself up so badly. And I think what I needed to do was to pull myself higher. Like I needed to see myself the way that God saw me. And so he was like, hey, I know that you see yourself as like damaged goods right now, but like usually the damaged goods are still used. Like you still use the apple that has the bruise. You still eat the orange that has a little and it's still nutritious. And so he was like, I'm calling you mogul whether you like it or not. And I was like, oh, well, I better research what this means. And so I started researching it, but he was like, not their mogul and not the mogul, but like EK the Mogul, and just showing me that you are here called to impact not just your community, but like the entire world. You're here to use your voice to impact every seed and every person that I planted here. Like you're here to shift spaces. You're here to be the one out of 100 who will do the thing and say the thing. And I was like, that's a lot for somebody who feels worthless.
That's a big job description.
So what do you... And so I've just been on a journey of like uncovering like, okay, God, what do you mean here? And like, what should the mogul be doing here? And how should I be showing people the mogul? Because he created the word in itself, but he also created the definition that is constantly growing. And so that's kind of how it came about. And I own it. I wear it. I'm so honored that he chose me to be the mogul, because I'm like, that's a big deal. And that also means that like, that's going to ruffle some feathers, including my own. And so just choosing to lean into it has been such a beautiful yet courageous journey, because it's scary sometimes, but it's also like you're called and I can't escape it, so I would never want to.
That actually just made me so emotional. Girl, it was so random. Really? But no, because as you were speaking, it's so powerful. But as you were speaking, it reminded me of the story of David.
Girl.
Because instantly when you said that, I'm like, okay, he prophesied, right? Like it's like you're going to that. I'm not going to tell you where you're at or give you a title for where you're at, but for where you're going or where I see you to be. And we know the story of David.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the thing about it, too, is, like, it wasn't just about how he saw himself, but the environment and how they overlooked him and how they saw him.
Girl.
And even though he was told he was going to be a king, he didn't step into it automatically. And then there were, like, times and seasons and, you know, all of the things.
Yeah.
And so that's why I got emotional, because it's just, like, I think people forget about that.
Yeah.
That part of, like, the journey, like, literally, and how I always say, like, the journey is where you're formed, you're equipped, you're made.
Yeah.
And so it's like you took that and you said, okay, if this is what you're bestowing on me, then I have to kind of, like, wake up and say, like, what does this look like and how I'm living out loud?
No, literally, my journey from that moment, like, my agenda for each day was, like, wake up, and this is, like, written in my book still, like, wake up, pray, watch a sermon, take a walk, cry, journal, watch a sermon. Like, I didn't have anything. I had nothing. I had no thought that felt worthy enough to be spoken. And yet God was like, well, I gave you an assignment. And this assignment has nothing to do with no one but you. So really go on those walks, cry out what you need to cry out, but also, like, all the things that people have said to you are meaningless. Yeah. Even your own words are meaningless. So clearly my word is the only one that stands true, because you don't trust your own words. You surely don't trust anyone else. So, like, I got you, and I've given you this title for a reason. And I was like, girl.
Yeah. God. And even in a sense, like, the one thing you said was, you didn't feel like you had, like, the words or anything to say, and you're a transformational speaker. Literally, you know. Like, and I feel like one of those things that you're, like, known for is your affirmations. You know what I mean, and how you speak life and power over people. And so it's the way in which he'll use what we count out about ourselves and say, just watch this. Like,
no, literally, he's like, you are going to speak to yourself this time.
Like, you're talking to a wall, because I ain't said that.
And I find, like, to your point, that everything that I say now, sometimes I'm just saying it, he's just saying it, which is why I was saying, like, I didn't really want to prepare too much for this. I just wanted to let him speak, because I find myself watching videos that I said, like, oh my God, I needed to hear that. And I'm like, it's, you know, you said that, but I don't. So it's just him working through me. And it's just crazy how, like, you yourself can be your medicine. Like, God is the ultimate medicine, but he will position you to even serve your own season, to heal your own heart. Like, so that's crazy.
I mentioned to you earlier how, like, I went back to our DMs and how we were chatting. We literally had an exchange about this very thing. And it was about, you had shared that, like, your friend told you something, but it was your own words back to you. And I was like, no, this is all the time.
I remember.
Yes. I was like, this is all the time to me. And then I end up looking at them like, oh, I know where this came from. Like,
that sounds familiar.
And I'm like, well, I can't argue with you there.
Right. It's like, who said that?
Like, yes. So that is just so funny. It remains true. Yeah. And I think it's just something so beautiful about that, you know? But I love that. So tell me about how, like, your upbringing and you kind of being somebody from, like, coast to coast, how that's, like, influenced your work and, like, what you do today.
Yeah, I think the reason why I think globally and not locally, not that I'm, like, ignoring my local community, because, like, we got that on lock. God already called me to them. We're doing it. But it's just because I think, like, traveling across the world, just seeing how my mom moved across the world, she's like, if I came here, this is mine. And I'm like, well, I need to adopt that as well. Like, she shows up places and owns the room. She showed up places and said, like, this is going to be my home. And it doesn't look like it, but I'm going to make this home. And so I've just kind of adapted that in all of my work. And then also really communal. Like, my mom inside of our house in the Bronx, New York, we had about, like, 14 different foster siblings coming in and out different during seasons of their life. And that taught me so much selflessness. It also taught me, like, girl, your issues that may be, you know, super weighty right now could be a drop in the ocean to somebody who's actually, like, fighting for their life and has no support. And so all of those things I think have made me, like, just such a woman of community, a woman of wisdom, because the world is just ever changing. And I know that I want to impact every part. And so, like, I have to get to know the world. I have to go explore people's cultures and be uncomfortable. So growing up from LA, I think, like, I have that LA girl kind of in me still that, like, you know, LA girl, the culture of like crumping and the culture of like just different like Mexican people living in the same areas as Black people, and then gang, like everything that LA brings. I think I've grown up with that mindset, but I also shifted and grew up in Brooklyn. So I call myself like a Brooklyn Rose because though my roots started in LA, I grew the vine and all of that in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn in New York is like, you know, we a little arrogant. We got what we want. We do what we do, and no one's better. But I think both of those things gave me like confidence, but also like knowing how to be chill. So nonetheless, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that part of my story, and my mom decided to like take up her 5 kids and say like, I know you guys have been raised here, but we're leaving, coming into new schools and everything. I think my ability to adapt. Like, I love community. I love people. I love learning new things. It doesn't scare me to come into a room and not know anyone. And that's all because of, like, going to middle school in this borough and high school.
Sorry. Oh, that was...
But, you know, just going to middle school in one borough and high school in the next borough and having to, like, meet new people for who they are and learning to show up as I am in every space. So as I look back, I didn't know what it was doing for me then, but now I feel the stride and the pride of every part. Like, I feel the pride of just being able to be moved and not swayed, you know? So I really do.
That last part reminds me of what people kind of say around, like, their birthdays, where it's like, you get the question of like, how does it feel to be such and such? And I think this year I understood when people said like, I feel like I'm still a culmination of every single year, every single version of myself, like all of that. So it's just like each and every experience, West Coast, East Coast, you're a culmination of all, you know, cultures and experiences, you know what I mean? Which is such a beautiful thing because I mentioned as you were talking perspective, it only helps you. You know what I mean?
It really does.
It only helps you to be more kind, more genuine, more compassionate. And I think in work as well as like personal, I think those are very vital, like, you know, attributes to have and to carry out because, you know, you can, what do they say, catch more flies with honey when you're compassionate. When you communicate,
that's a good one.
When you communicate compassionately, like people are going to want to help you. When you show up genuinely and selflessly, like people want to, you know, buy into whatever you have going on. They want to, you know, they want to check on you or, you know, there's 2 sides to that because sometimes people just want to, you know, latch on, but you know, like you got to have discernment. Like literally. But on that topic, I feel like you have such a genuine nature about yourself. And as we talk more about authenticity throughout our conversation, I want to kind of hear how you've leaned into like your personable like nature and qualities in terms of like building your brand and being comfortable in that. Because I feel like you've been consistent in that, you know, and how you show up and everything.
I think, I don't know. I feel like as I reflect right now on how I've been genuine in the face of like so many people and just people watching, people commenting, even back like in college, I think it's just having to, like not having a choice. It's like, I can't possibly be somebody else right now because I'm still getting to know me. I'm still getting to know what I like. And I just never ever felt like comfortable as someone that was less than who I was supposed to be. Like even in college, I think my first year, I just like had a great time and had fun. But I realized that people don't know me for what my purpose is. I was like, well, that's not me. And so let's set the record straight. Because, like, you'll see the Caribbean version of Erica who grew up in a Caribbean household with my stepdad being Jamaican and loved that culture. But I was like, this feels beneath the full layer of who I am. And I don't think you can attract the people that you deserve to be in community with if you're not showing every layer. And so that's always been my biggest thing. It's like, I don't want to meet somebody and they only speak to one person that's in me. I'm 7. There's a couple layers
that I love.
And it always feels like, it feels like you're missing out on like the best parts of me because I don't choose to show it. So I think my ability to just be genuine, like upfront is because I want to attract the people who are core to me because for so many years I've been around people who are only pieces of me and it doesn't feel fulfilling. It doesn't feel real. It feels like I'm just living beneath my means and what I'm here to do. And I'm just not for that anymore. Like I'm like, if you don't accept all of me, like, nice to meet you. Adios, amiga. because what am I here to do? Like,
I'm done.
I just kind of have to like lean into it, but it's also cringy to me.
Yeah.
Like being so vulnerable is so cringy. It's like, stop. Why are you telling these people your business? But at the same time, it's like, because you know what community is birthed out of.
Yes.
Like, you know somebody needs it.
And it's that thing. It's like, well, somebody got to go first. Because we're going to be looking at each other like, literally.
And let's just jump in. That's why when you ask me like, how are you? I'm like, I might as well tell you the truth, so that
and that's how
we can meet each other the way we really are.
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely, but 100%. And I think to the point of not even like just attracting the right people, but it's like you don't want to meet somebody as just like one portion of yourself, and then when you decide, okay, let me try to just like grow or like try to share, then you're coming up against adversity because they're not even meant. They're not meant to be in your orbit.
Who are you?
Yeah.
To not feel seen also is something that's big to me. Like I know what it feels like to just not feel seen or appreciated or not heard, and I'm like, well, what, like, how much of that is because I didn't speak for myself or advocate for myself or how I really felt and what was really important to me. So now I just won't silence that voice in my own self. Like I can't silence her. She's just so precious to me.
Yeah.
Like, girl, you deserve to say it if it sounds crazy or silly or stupid or annoying or amazing or incredible or out of this world. Like you have to welcome the voice that's within. Like for so long I felt like I just quieted her, was like, fit into the little box and you do what they say. And that of course comes from like childhood and wanting to people please. But I'm far gone from that. But I won't even say so far gone because honestly that's a fib. I'm still there. Like I still feel her. I still feel the version of me that doesn't know how to advocate for herself and is learning, and I'm in both places. Like I'm the mogul, but I'm also like shy to communicate sometimes. And we're growing.
Things can be true. Talking.
2 things can be true. Yeah. So that's exactly me.
Yeah. No, that's so good and so relatable to me on so many levels. And I would say for a while I only had like 3 friends, and I was like, that's it. That's all. And it's because I'm so protective of who I allow in, and I'm so protective of the individuals that come in, because it's like, if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, I'm not explaining.
I don't.
Like, actually, you know, and I've been there where it's like, I've been hurt because I wasn't seen, I wasn't understood. And then when you try to do more work in explaining and sharing and all the things, and then just to still not be seen, heard, it's like, okay, I can't do that again because that energy can't be exhausted again. So I understand, and it's just like, if I can get it right the first time or off the top or as close to right as possible, like, then let me just do that. Let me be. So
that's interesting to me.
Really?
Because in this season, I'm being more open to like what I was saying, community, and not just creating community as in like EK the Mogul to y'all, but also like new sisterhood. And it has come with having to like express a little bit more those small nuances, like, oh, do you think this person's mad about that? And I'm like, no, they're definitely not mad about it, but because I've known them for 7 years, your prior relationships have led you to think that someone would be upset about this. So communicating like, hey, this is a safe space, I think has been the biggest thing. It's like, and this is what I mean by safe. I don't mean like share your business and we'll tell it. I mean like share it and we'll hold it with care and then pray about it and walk you through it. But I think it's had to, a little expression, because I realize like not everybody has always had good intentions or have been met with good intentions. So when they meet people like us, sometimes I have to say like, hey, I'm never going to say this again, right?
Right.
I love you. What I mean by love is Corinthians. Like, like this is what I mean. Because sometimes and I think I've been finding that it's worth it, because it's also like introducing somebody to something new that they may not have had. When I'm expecting everybody to just meet me with the best energy. But I'm like, we aren't always so kind as humans, So, but that was really interesting to me, because I used to want it right on the first time. But now I'm like, God, step in here.
Yeah.
What do you want from this relationship? And
it's also worth like knowing I don't get it right every time.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And I think I'm actually reading a book now called Finding Your People. And it's really interesting too because I read a section where it was really talking about like nurturing the community you already have.
Oh, I love that.
And I have like what I call Power Rangers, so like my core 5, and then I have like my Avengers, so like the larger like range of people. Yeah, I felt like that was just
you ate with that. That's a beautiful analogy of friendships.
Yeah,
I love that.
Oh, come on.
I do. I'm gonna use it.
And do please. And so I realized like I wanted to, you know, be more intentional with my community. You know what I mean? I think with my Power Rangers, it's easier to, you know, meet with them and talk to them and share the ideas and be creative with them and things like that. But like in adulthood, we have to be so much more intentional with our time and planning and all the things. And it's just like, these are people that I love so much and I want them to be a part of where I'm going in my life and everything, you know? And I don't want you to just see me on socials because I care about you. We talk, you know, it's like, let's dance. Like, so I love it. And that's just kind of like what you said, like what it reminded me of, just like really like nurturing and kind of being easy. Like, I don't feel like I'm always easy when it comes to certain aspects of community building, but like I really do. I love supporting other people's like purpose and business and just like them as individuals and who they are and finding people who you don't have to water yourself down around. It's like chef's kiss.
No,
like,
literally, it's godsend.
You know,
he's been showing out in that area of my life, and I feel like it's just the redeeming of the Lord,
redeeming love. Come on,
I'm like, aw, you see me fit to be a friend and a sister to someone, and vice versa. That's the most precious thing I think on this earth is like friendship, sisterhood, just like community. Yeah. And then God-given like family that you weren't born connected to, but you guys are just like, it's just linked. And it's just the perfect fit of the puzzle piece. Like I can talk about that all day.
No, same. I love it. I do. Let's talk a bit about being a mogul.
Okay.
And your work in terms of empowering the next generation and what that looks like. So I really am curious to know what advice you would have for young professionals who are, you know, seeking to make their mark. I feel like you've been able to, you know, have your unique like DNA like stamped. So like what would you, you know, say to somebody else?
Never silence the voice that is speaking so loudly within. I think once I stopped silencing the voice that was within me, it was like the floodgates of ideas, of creativity, of expression, of pride, of confidence, like feeling myself because I stopped being the one person to silence my own voice. You realize so many times that no one's silencing you. It's you that's silencing you. And so I would say to that next generation of moguls in the industry, in any industry, is to do that, but also to be very genuine and full of integrity. Like if something is very core to you, if your values are friendship and kindness and love, bring that in everything. I have this tattoo that says Meraki, and it means to do everything with love, creativity, and soul in Greek. And I carry that wherever I go. So whether we're talking about the most poignant voter campaign, I'm still bringing that love, creativity, and soul. And you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the love in it. And so just those two things is like never silence that voice that's speaking within you, and also move with integrity in every space. There will be things thrown at you and opportunities thrown and things that people are like dangling over your head. But if it is not what God sent, it's never going to work. And if it works for a little while, then you're not really chasing to be the mogul that you can be, because a little while is not what I'm going for. I'm going for longevity. I'm going for wealth. I'm going for my grandkids and their kids know my name and they know it well, and they can speak me up and put my name in rooms and get them things like, child, them kids are blessed. Come on. But do definitely, like, to those people, if you are out there, for sure, that voice that's speaking to you, it's speaking for a reason. It's often God through you. So allow him to speak and then move with integrity. Everything that comes to you is not worth who you are and your integrity. So, you know, choose wisely. Choose accordingly.
Come on. I love that. I want to speak on two things. the silenced voices. And I think, and you specifically how you said sometimes it's us that silence our own voices.
Girl.
And I think sometimes that also comes from rejection.
Yeah.
And we reject ourselves sometimes first, and others, you know, or opportunities, you know, it's not our time or our moment. I just heard today, which I thought was so great, that rejection is not an indicator of qualified.
It's certainly
not synonymous.
Not on this
you
earth. No.
So, and I think like people, I think that was so good because the moment we don't get the job, the moment we don't get that opportunity that we thought would like be the catalyst for us, it's like we're looking at, okay, what's wrong with us, or how can I go back and fix this? We're like, you know, ready, you know, scratching every single inch of like who we are to figure it out.
Right.
When it just wasn't, you know, for us. And it's not the qualifier to say we are qualified.
Yeah. We tie so much of our worth and who we are and what we're supposed to do into these man-made opportunities. Granted, I'm grateful for my Black job. I'm grateful for my career in general. But I'm also understanding that if God wants to do it, He will use anything. He will connect me to somebody on a train ride on my way to vacation. He will do what he needs to do to get me in position. And so rejections, I have loved them now because I've had such a horrible relationship with them. Rejections of all kinds, from people, from friends, from community, from jobs. And now I realize, like, oh my God, it allows me a moment to reflect in a way that I may not have reflected had I continued chasing that one thing. We become so track-minded, like one-track minded, when in reality, God is like, that? Now you know I got more for you. Like, you know we can do better than that. But most times we think that is the better until He allows something to reject us so we can then evaluate. Like, what is it, evaluate? Evaluate. So He allows that to happen so we can, like, evaluate ourselves and say, like, am I settling? Is this something that I really want, or is this something that other people want for me? Is this something that is worth my time? Will this pour into me? Like, all of those layers of reflection that I don't think we allow because we're chasing things, instead of allowing them to meet us head on, you know? So I think that rejection in that quote that you mentioned is phenomenal because truly, it doesn't qualify you. None of these things qualify us. Not a mere moment can qualify us. Like, God has intricately created us in so many different ways, all the pieces of us. It's like one puzzle piece falling off the thing won't stop the puzzle from getting put together. So
it's still gonna be made.
I really love that. I do.
Yes, and we both kind of share this same like sentiment of it all gets used. It all gets used.
Everything.
And I always say, God will put us in proximity to where we need to be.
I love that.
So in terms of, okay, that wasn't the opportunity for us and we get another opportunity. What I've come to love is just this thing that happens where it's like, I'm doing something and I may not see the full scope in how it's serving me now. But when I'm on to the next thing and I'm realizing how it served me and where I'm currently at,
girl,
I get so excited.
Literally.
And I'm just like, oh, actually, you did your big one.
You did.
You because you connected them dots I didn't see.
I couldn't have even... And that's why my favorite scripture is Ephesians 3:20. Because please do the things I can't imagine, think, or even believe in. Like, please do the things that I have no idea about. Because 9 times out of 10, the things that I have ideas about are just like way smaller in comparison to the beautiful things that you have for me. So please, like, blow my mind. That has been my, like, motto for the past, I think, 3 years, is just like, God, blow my mind. When I don't know what season is coming or what's to come and I feel anxious about it, instead I'm like, God, blow my mind. Like, I think we think He's only going to upset our world by flipping it upside down and making all the things. But it's also like He can floodgate blessings and now you're so busy and booked. Which is what I'm currently experiencing.
You know,
like,
you know, it's so
He can
funny.
do that. What?
So you just said, God, blow my mind.
Yes.
So I typically will open up an episode and I'll read like a lyric of a song or something like that. And that I feel like either goes with the topic of the episode or something. And I really struggled like with what I wanted to do today. And it's so funny because I say struggle, but then there was a song that came to mind, but I was like, that one? And then it came on as I was driving in the
What
car.
song? Oh my God.
It was Let Me Blow Your Mind, Eve.
Eve. Wow. Wait, I don't even know that song.
Wait. Let me pull up the lyrics.
Thank you. I love that though.
This is so crazy.
I love that.
Yes.
God is, ooh. When I tell you, the pieces be piecing.
That's how I was like, wait, that's actually so funny.
Wow.
So let me go to the chorus.
Oh, that's so cool.
She about to really make me read. Hold on. Let me find a different. They need to put the caps. Oh, that's because I don't know who this artist is. I should have said Eve. Okay. Okay. I knew I had to give you more. It's only been a year. Now I got my foot through the door and I ain't going nowhere. It took a while to get me here and I'm going to take my time. Don't fight that good in your ear. Now let me blow your mind. But like, it's just such a vibe.
That's a vibe. I've never heard this song, I think.
It's such a vibe, but it was just like, why when that song first came to mind, I was like, I could see it, but like, I don't know if that's the one. Mm-hmm. But then as it was playing in the car ride, I was like, I could see it though. Because I feel like the whole like, let me blow your mind, it goes back to Ephesians for me when I see where it's just like, the best is yet to even come. Like there's so much more. And I just feel like when it comes to how you pour into people and just different things, it's like, let me blow your mind real quick. Like, let me do a little something. Y'all haven't even seen nothing yet. So that's what I got when I was like, you know, but I was like,
I feel that on all accounts of my life right now. Like, I feel that internally coming outward. I feel that as my brand coming to the world, like, hey, y'all, like, child, God is telling me you ain't seen nothing yet, but I'm also telling everyone else, like,
come on.
You ain't seen nothing.
Yes.
I love that. I love that knowing that God is giving me now to say, like, girl,
it's just getting started.
Started. But even the getting started, though, is to be celebrated.
Yes.
So I'm always in between, like, yes! Okay, God, what we doing next? Yes! Like, and then sometimes actively celebrating and also thinking about, like, oh, my God, this is being used for 10 years in the future. And I feel it and I see it. I'm going to own it, but also celebrate. Like, I love that delicate dance of like celebrating, but also knowing like more is on the way to you. Don't get too content where you become complacent, you know? So
I was going to ask about that too. Like ask about with like having some really like just having some really great things going on or just like navigating life. Like I feel like sometimes people don't celebrate the small wins. You know, they're waiting on that big thing. Like they're working towards that big promotion, that big breakthrough, but they don't take a moment to kind of just like sit in the pockets that God like just kind of like throws their way. And I feel like those things are like lifesavers, you know? And it's just like, wait, I see you. Wait, I'm still here. Wait, I'm still doing a thing. Girl, you know?
Those are the moments. I call them like big deal moments. Or I have this thing where I just put it in my calendar like history in the making. Because every single moment, I'm not missing a moment where God is working. I'm just not doing that anymore. Like I think I spent a lot of my life being so numb that I missed so many moments where he was like saving me, catching me, positioning me, shifting me, pivoting me, positioning me to really like thrive in so many ways. And so now I just have vowed to myself to be present, even when it's difficult or things are going crazy, but also to be present and know like, hey, he's there and he was in that and he was in that and he showed up there and he pushed that to like every delay, every worry, every stress, every phone call I get. I try to just own it and appreciate the moment because God is always working behind the scenes. He's always moving things on my behalf. And I don't ever want to for a second become so arrogant and think that I have this thing going where I forget that he's like, he's moving. He's moving in the way that we're breathing right now. He's moving in the questions that come to your mind in this amazing podcast and this conversation, the people that'll hear it. Like he's like everywhere. And I don't and I just don't want to miss a moment to feel his presence and to feel that he's here and to also feel like period, just to feel because of just being so numb for so many years. So now I'm just like, nope. history in the making. And when I feel it in my presence, I'm putting it on the calendar. Because when I get to the moment, whatever the culminating moment is, whether that's like a big deal for me or a big deal to the world, I'm like, but y'all didn't see the big deals. And let me show you. So that you don't become so fixated on just that big deal, that those smaller big deals don't like sustain you.
Like, I was this girl when I did this. Like, this was that.
Like, that's why you got this version. I often say, like, even with EK the Mogul, I'm like, you're just getting the after effect of me, because really the mogul has already been brewing. The content that I'm putting out now is just, you know, just a visual of what I've been saying to myself. I've been having to teach myself these things, like, you know, and so to own it and to share it is something that I'm also cherishing now. Like, every moment doesn't have to be a big deal to you, but I'm clocking that tea. Like, I'm clocking that moment. And it may not seem like anything to you, but I won't miss it. Like, I can't be that person to miss it, you know?
And I think it's sometimes, like, I struggle with, like, bringing that person to the world. Like, I want to, and I had that desire, and sometimes I do the drops, but then I, like, go back and I, like, hide away, because again, I'm very, like, protective about my stuff. So it's just like, it's kind of scary to put yourself out there in that way. So how do you kind of, like, navigate it? Or do you have those moments where you're just like, I don't want to say scared, but are you a little hesitant, or do you kind of, like, stand in the confidence and you're just like, no, I'm good?
Every single time I do anything, I'm nervous and, like, hesitant. Every single time. I think that's just the human in me. And I think contrary to popular belief, like, EK the Mogul is very nervous all the time for every post. Like, I'm grateful to have a network that is streaming my show and posting. Otherwise, the amount of delays I believe I would have in posting because I'm hiding in the shadow of my own light is crazy. But oftentimes I realize you're not even afraid for people to receive what you have to say. You're barely even afraid of what they're going to say. You're barely afraid, you know, of the feedback. You're really afraid of just not being perfect in the eyes of people is what I experienced. And I was like, you procrastinating to post something. Like, you're just afraid that it's not going to be received with the intention that you have. But I've had to sit in the intention. My intention was to give you what I have. Wisdom in a cup. Please drink, enjoy, heal, learn, gift it to somebody. That was my intention. What you do with that cup is no longer my business. And so I want to gift that to you as well, because, girl, we cannot hide in the shadow of, like, our own light. Our light is so bright, it like blinds us. And we try to perfect it, and we try to make sure that it feels what I'm trying to say. And it's like, I said what I said. And I did what I did in that season. And whoever is supposed to receive it, I have to trust that God will carry that. Because, like, the weight of me carrying that now, he's trying to do so much in me. And I don't want to be, like, in the way. Like, you keep on getting in the way of him really trying to do some phenomenal things. Just show up as you are. Because tomorrow is another day to show a new version of you. And as long as you own that, people will have to respect it. And I think what my community feels, what I hope they do feel, is like, I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to show you tomorrow. And these two might look totally different. Today I might be in the hood with my kids. Tomorrow I might be on a jet. And, like, I trust my journey so much to know that I will gift you this and trust that what's to come is what I know is what's to come, you know, without you having to, like, see it for yourself. So that I feel so strongly about that, because I feel so bad for all the times when I didn't post, because I'm like, what if somebody doesn't receive this well? And it's like, you're never going to be perfect. And
it's like, what about it? Next.
And that's me to me still to this day. Like, little things, I'm like, should I post this picture? Will they think I'm being like, no, pop it. Get in your bag sometimes. But also, like, be mushy sometimes. And, like, go there. And all the things, I still feel nervous, and I think that is just God working in me, because otherwise I would be the numb version of me who used to be, and I vowed to never be her. So if that comes with feeling discomfort before doing something big, like, period, it's a big deal to me. Of course of course I'm nervous. You guys, my community, are a big deal to me. Of course I'm afraid to, like, fail you guys. That's where I think it comes from. And the more that I give myself empathy
and that comes
during
from
that
care.
process, like, in care, the more that I give myself the room to do that, the more powerful I feel to just do it.
Yeah.
Despite the pain and the discomfort and the weirdness and the like, cringe.
Yeah.
It's like giving myself the room. I think when I used to be very rigid with myself and like, do it now, you have no choice, I wouldn't do things.
Yeah.
It's like, we're still not doing it, babe. I'm not doing that.
I'm not scared of you.
But when I started to give myself the room to speak my fears and to own them and then to combat them with facts of like what God actually told me about myself, that's, I think, when I started to actually do the things.
Yeah.
Tired of being stuck.
Yeah.
And I won't. And I'll keep on saying I won't until like my life is a full resemblance of that. But even now, scared for this to come out. Who knows? Like, you know, just the little things. But that's God.
Yeah.
He's
That's what to bless somebody.
and
Yeah.
It's a blessing to be nervous.
Yeah.
It's a blessing to feel all the feels because that means it means something to you. And like when things don't feel,
it's not a bad
we
thing.
might want to take a pause and wonder.
We're going to
while we're not feeling anything.
Yes. I'm literally cracking up. I want to go back to celebrating and talk about the BET campaign that you did. You know, like, was it a campaign or like what was that for?
I did a lot.
Yeah.
So
wait, you know the one I'm talking about?
The voter campaign?
No, I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Okay. I remember that. Oh my God! I'm like, I do a lot. See?
Right.
So the commercial. Yes. Okay. So what was the question about the?
Yes. So I want to talk about how did you sit in that moment? How did you bask in celebrating that? Because that aired during an award show, so I'm sure you were busy and had a lot to do. And like, what did kind of like that moment look like for you? Because I know phones ringing off the hook, like, but like, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, first of all, it meant everything for BET and Honda to see me. And I couldn't talk about my job, which I was so appreciative of because I'm like, to the world, I'm so much more than just the company you see me associated with. I'm grateful for it, very. But I'm also so much more. And I've always wanted people to see me as more than just like a company or a shiny light. And so for them to just highlight my journey of becoming a transformational speaker, that was the most beautiful and like loving thing that they could have done. But then the way that it aired was God. So basically, during the award shows and usually, you know, thereafter, we're either doing a couple of things. We're either preparing the press release to talk about the amazing moments that happened, working on getting interviews for talent behind the scenes, or anything else that people need. I had just finished wrapping up the red carpet for the NAACP Image Awards. I had a team of about 45 people on the ground. So while they're wrapping that job, I'm having to conclude them while also start my next job, which is like getting ready for the show and getting whatever pieces my team needs. And Taraji's team had an issue with something and couldn't get inside or something. I'm like, oh, I have a solution, no problem. And so I have my badge. I go inside to go get Taraji P. Henson. And the first time I went to go get her, the timing was off. The second time I went to go get her, I was about to introduce myself. And I'm like, hi, Taraji. And I look on the screen and I see my commercial on the screen, and I was like, oh my God, hold on, this is me right now. It's like, this is crazy. And I'm like, okay, also talking to a producer, and I'm like holding my phone, recording it, while also like, and I'm also like, hold on, so can we get her out right now? Oh my God. Can we bring her out right now, commercial break?
I'm cracking
So
up.
all of these things are happening at the same time. That was the most precious moment. I was like, look at you doing what you love to do, being highlighted in front of your favorite people. A lot of people's favorite people are being able to see you for who you really are and not just what you're associated with. And like, you're working at like, you're working your big girl job. Like, it just felt so amazing. And I knew in my heart of hearts that I wasn't going to get to see it. So for God to allow me to walk in, solve a problem frantically at that moment and to be able to see that on screen, it was such a hug. Because that day was crazy, as you can imagine, running a red carpet, 45 team members that I'm managing, and then to come in and I was like, this is so sweet. So I celebrated. I celebrated that night. not only like did I go out and have a great time with my girls, but I was also with one of my friends from college who, like, similar to you, we didn't know each other in college. We kind of like would walk past each other, had no idea. But then one day we walked past each other in our like work building. And I was like, you look familiar. And that has been my sister of sisters, like in so many ways. And so she got to just speak life into me and also like allow me to just get in my bag and say like, yeah, like I told you guys. And to you guys, it's like, my enemies, as in like my doubts, my worries, my stress, the people that have also counted me out. So when I speak of like God preparing you at a table with your enemies, I'm not even just talking about people.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, please, of course, the people are there, and there will be people that don't support you, but there was a plethora of people online supporting me. And I was also reminded of the times where there weren't, and where I was in my lowest moments, the moments that I spoke about in the commercial, where I wasn't supported, and like where I'm like, yo, like, I'm down, I need help. And there were not people that were expecting to help me. So in that moment, I just felt so redeemed. I was like, thank you, God. I'm here telling the story of me becoming a transformational speaker. I don't know any transformational speakers in my life. I've never had one in my family. That's not even a career you go for. Like, that's just, it doesn't exist. While also being able to just combat all of the times where I felt unseen and unheard and unworthy. It was like a little forehead kiss from God. It was just everything. And I was so grateful.
I love
that. We had a time. I spoke in the mirror. I did affirmations. We went outside. We had a great time. It was beautiful. And then I continued to celebrate when I got home and just bask in it and watch it again and again. Like, I'm still relishing.
Repeat.
Literally.
Rewind.
Okay, what did I say?
Yes.
Like,
I love that right there.
Whatever she said.
I'm
still in it. I'm still so grateful. And I think that was like a part of God's rollout for me.
Yes.
To the world.
Instantly, I had to look it up because I didn't want to get it wrong. I ain't trying to be eaten up. But instantly, I thought about Elroy, like God who sees.
Yes.
And he's, in the ways and times which he sees us.
Yeah.
So vital, so precious. And like that is I see you moment.
It was so like so
my daughter, I see you.
He's like, I see you at every stage of the game.
And here's the thing too, like I don't know if you told him that desire, like, oh, I would like to see it, but even when you don't vocalize it, he knows the desire. Is
the part that is eating me up. Because it's like, even I didn't get a chance to vocalize it because I just counted it out. There's so many things that we count out thinking that God won't come through or it's too small for him. But like, I could have easily said like, God, I'm gonna be crazy back there working, but if there's any way that I could see the commercial, because I would love to. I had literally silenced my desire. How many of our desires do we silence because we just don't think it's either important to God or it's not important enough? Being able to see yourself for a big deal moment of your life, like, you should want that. We should have desires to celebrate ourselves. We should have desires to be around love while we're celebrating. We should have desires to be around rooms full of people singing happy birthday. And celebrating the big deals to you. And know that it's okay to desire those things. Because people will have you thinking like it's never that serious. It is. In fact, that serious. It is. Like it was so serious. And that, I think, was also the journey of God getting me back to asking him for things that meant a lot to me, because in the moment I was like, oh my God, yes. Nobody knew that I wanted this. I was just going to go on like, I'm just working. I'm just minding my business. I'll see it when I see it. But he knew that deep down, like, you deserve this. And I'm going to give you things you deserve even when you can't ask for them until you grow the desire to ask for these things. Like, as if, someone taking you out and like spoiling you. It's like, maybe you didn't desire that vacation, but like, you deserved it. Like, let me fix your appetite. Because the appetite wasn't giving. Why was it not giving? Like, you deserve to celebrate yourself, He's like, let me shift your palate. Like, this is the plate you deserve to feast from. You've poured, you've watered, I've helped you water, we've gardened this together. Why don't you feel like you deserve the harvest that came? I've been in a season where like he's done like exposure therapy on me, where it's like I didn't have an appetite for certain things, but then he exposed me to those things. And so it's like, oh,
I see that for myself. I want that.
I love that.
So now it's like, okay, God, how do we get there? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah.
And that's been really like interesting.
Is it sweet?
It's comical. I say it's comical because some of the things, it's like, I was good off that, but I guess right now, like, I guess it's that time. So, so it's like, it's very funny for some of the things that I am now like interested in having. And I think it also goes back to like the fact that we can pivot and change our minds and grow and, do all sorts of things.
Second. I love that.
Yeah.
God, I like exposure therapy.
In the best ways, because he got a sense of humor, so we gotta
pause. Let's put a cap on that one. Until we can come back with the language, because
we're gonna put a pin in it.
Please don't expose me to nothing else.
I'm really cracking up. I want to talk about Made the Cut Collective.
Yes.
So tell me about what inspired it, because I know like that was a name change too that happened within like, at this point, maybe the last like year and a half, it feels like.
Yeah. So Make the Cut Collective was formerly Move in Meraki, which is a community that I created like during my biggest healing moment. Where I just decided that I'm learning so much and I need to share it. I'm learning about healing tactically, but also with God. I need to share this with people and let them know that these things are possible as a multifaceted creative, disciplinary artist, like everything. And then also changing it to Made the Cut Collective just felt right.
Yeah.
So last year I did a vision board event and I was like, what should we call this? And I'm like, Made the Cut, because we're cutting things out, but we're also deciding what makes the cut in our lives. I was like, I kind of want to change Move in Meraki. Transparently, someone that I introduced Meraki, the word to, went on to like start a business and like a entire line, and I was like, but I'm gonna keep it until God tells me to shift it. And so I just felt like that was the time to shift it. Like Meraki means the world to me, but it also is not all of me. So it's like, it's always here.
Yeah.
But as I evolved, I feel like I wanted a community of people who moved with integrity, impact, and influence. So I was like, who will make the cut?
Yeah.
Like not in a cliquey way, but in a very intentional about my energy space and my community. When you're in this community, you know that you are meeting people of integrity, of impact, and influence. We don't play about those three things. And we're also going to give you the resources to be those things. Like if you want to be impactful, here are the resources to do so, whether it's like another sister in the community or, a connect, a mentor, a sponsor, a champion. So yeah, that's the community. We do like incremental events, all just to heal and like also explore each other while exploring ourselves. But I think the goal overall is just to grow closer to yourself, to the other women, and to God. And in the most simplest way. So everything that I do is like a little layer of Made the Cut Collective.
It's embedded.
We're growing. I want, what I see for the future is us having like a home and a community where we can actually convene digitally and in person. But in the meantime, like my Instagram has been that hub of just like, hey y'all. And now it's like a repository of just wisdom. Like if you scroll down, you're going to take something with you, and that's why I've kept it alive. It's just because you never know who still needs like those graphics or those videos that we put together. And then as I do the events, I can always like dish it out to my girls. But I'm like thinking about, should I open it to girls and guys now? So
we all need a, whatever, wherever God moves you.
Look, right.
Yeah. That'll be good. Okay. So you've mentioned healing a few times in our conversation. And then since you just said impact, I wanted to kind of talk about mental health a little bit as it pertains to maybe some, initiatives that you do at work, but also in your personal like life and journey. Especially being busy and like being a creative who has a 9-to-5 and having other aspirations or being a speaker and going and traveling. You're here in DC with that, or like, where we're at. And, so taking the time and maybe like battling like that burnout or rest and like what that looks like. So I'm interested, talk about maybe some things that you do pertaining to work, and then like what do you do and how do you navigate like your mental health and just showing up as EK the Mogul and as Erica at home?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Well, at work, it's very simple, but also growing and expansive. So being as though I work on our social impact team, which is Small and Mighty. We have a partnership with Taraji P. Henson's foundation to give back 1 million hours of free therapy. So that can look like anything from mental health services or actual therapy, barbershop talk, hair salon talk, HBCU campus pop-ups and stuff like that. So I really, really love that we can be super creative. As you know, we just did the symposium, which was super dope because all those speakers came out, the community of DC and like beyond came out. People were there from Texas and Tennessee. That was amazing to be a sponsor, but to also attend this year. And just to see all the beautiful people connecting and just growing and having good conversation. In addition to that, everything that I speak is from a lens of mental health. So as a transformational speaker, you may think that I'm just motivating you for a moment. I'm really trying to transform your mind so that you welcome more conversations about like vulnerability and healing and mental health and like the actuals, like what is trauma and like what are freeze, flight, fawn, and you know, like what are those things and how do they show up in your life so that when you're in that boxing ring is what I call it, you're not blindfolded. You're able to say like, I am in a freeze season. I'm disassociating. So you have like the language, you know, or whatever, you know, that is. But how do I do it? I think I'm just gracious with myself. Like I give myself what I need in a season. Like I'm really keen to like, hey, E, what do you need? Which is why I was like, well, who am I showing up as today? Because I'm always going to be Erica Knox. Sometimes I embody the mogul because that pulls me higher. Sometimes I embody Erica, the woman of grace, who is like, I'm going to ground you today. And it's okay if you messed up 7 times. Get up 8. So really just being keen to like what I need in a season. Sometimes I need like acceleration. Sometimes I need excitement and spontaneity. Sometimes I need love and I need to be around community. Sometimes I need to feel celebrated. And so I'm learning how to create the environments that I need as well. Even with my launch parties, like God told me to do that because he knows like I would have been like, I'm celebrated. I love what I did. You guys will get it. Nice. But he's like, no, you need to be around people that celebrate you. You're depleted. You need people that are pour into you. And so him showing me that and allowing people to love on me in those seasons, but also knowing when to like pocket something. Like that's heavy. I'm going to talk to you later. Love you guys. Especially just being a pioneer in my family. Like I have siblings that are older than me as well. We're all pioneers in our own right, and carrying the weight of a legacy of my mom is heavy. It's like, it's a lot, but it's also an honor. So even just having that phone call with my little sister, like having to just take it, be her big sister, give her what I can and keep what I need for me. And also let her know that and communicate that. And, you know, so that's kind of how I do it. But just resting a lot, like mentally resting when I need to. When I need to turn off the mogul, she's done. Today, what do you have to say? I don't have anything to say. Like, how do you feel? I'm all right. That's what I will give if that's how I'm feeling. But if I'm feeling like, you know, I need to pull myself higher, I will. So it just depends. A delicate dance between like all the things. But I just listen to myself now more than ever. I think before, pushing yourself to new limits doesn't always mean pushing yourself off the edge. I would be pushing myself off the edge and wondering why I'm bruised. You did it. Push yourself to the point where you need to, but don't push yourself off the edge. Like, you know, but also ground yourself. Like, tell her it's okay. So I just give her what she needs, and I think I love it.
I like that you. I like that you said. Well, basically, sometimes you don't lean into the down. And you sometimes you're like, I need to pull myself higher. That's something that I had to learn because it's so, you know, Treasure's my best friend. And so one of the things that I had to learn too is like, people don't know that you're not okay if you don't tell them. Like we can't assume that they know. And so
because we're thriving.
Exactly. And so I had to, so now I communicate where it's just like, I'm feeling like I'm like not my spirit, but like my flesh is telling me to like isolate, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's coming from God, right? So it's like in those moments, it's like I lean on my community, and that's been such like a shifting experience from having to deal with something on your own. So I really love you know that you spoke on. Sometimes it's just about like pulling yourself higher because like going there is not always the answer. So I love that.
I love that you mentioned that. That's super dope. That's really, really dope. I love it.
in your previous response, you had mentioned, you said the word champion, and it reminded me that you've experienced like women championing. Wait, because I got it now. I got to get the word right.
Right. No, championing. Championing. It's like a champion championing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's hard.
It wouldn't play today.
I had to read it in my brain. Like
I feel like I've said it before. So you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying.
But yeah, so, I've experienced that.
But you've turned around and been a champion for other women.
Yeah.
And I know that you always pull in other publicists or people in like the media world to like come and like assist for BET Awards or what you have going on. So kind of like talk about why that's important for you.
Yeah. When I was first created at my job in this new role that I took on, I was tasked to bring on about 15 people for the Hip Hop Awards. I was like, okay. And they gave me a list of people to send it to. I sent it to, the distribution list of, which is standard. But then as time went on, I realized how pivotal this opportunity could be for people. I was like, hold on. We could be having partnerships. We could be pulling in women from across the world to participate at our award shows. And so I just ran with it. And my team so gracefully allowed me to, lead that portion. But it's important to me because what you see is what you'll be. And like you mentioned, that exposure therapy is like, when you're in an environment where you're able to see all the nooks and crannies of a full production, $1 billion trillion production, you have no choice but to either stand taller or shrink.
Yeah.
And my goal is for them to stand taller.
Yeah.
Like stand in the fact that you want to be a producer / publicist. Stand in the fact that you want to be a marketing maven / director. Like stand in that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever been in an environment like that.
Yeah.
So in terms of people championing me, I just don't think I've been in a space like that. So I was like, well, I'm opening the floodgates. Like anyone who is anyone on their journey that deserves this opportunity, which is anyone alive, and who is chasing their dreams and who's adamant about it, deserves to be in a space where they're pulled higher and they're challenged and they're forced to see things in a new light and they're forced to see the behind the scenes of production and figure out where they fill in. I think it's just so beautiful to see that. But more than anything, I get an opportunity to change 45 lives every award show. Like, I be like, God, what? Yeah. Okay. Going through over 200, 300 applications now. We went from 15. I think, and there are 300s and 400s of totally qualified, diligent candidates as well. Yeah. And I'm grateful to have that pool of people and just for God to use me to help people on their journey. Like it's a really, really big deal to me and I don't take it lightly because now you're on the red carpet of the BET Awards, meeting every person that you need to go ahead and start your new business, to be the publicist of your dreams, to have a new client that changes your entire life and your wealth bracket. I'm thinking about all those things. You will meet the CEO and he could change your life. Yeah. But you could also meet the producer of the show and or the publicist of Beyonce. You just never know. And I'm so grateful to be able to put them in rooms because when I put people in the room, my goal is just to tell you the play. Yeah. You run the play as you see fit. Yeah. People have ran the play and then the next week worked the ESPYs. I'm talking real people, like my mentee from Morgan State University. Come on. Who has a marketing agency focused on sports players and athletes from college to actual professional athletes. And for you to go from BET Awards to the ESPYs within a week, because God gave me the opportunity to gift you. Allowed you to be the tool. And you ran that play though, but you ran the play. Yeah. I couldn't have gifted you the ability to run the play. I could just give you the play and you ran it. And now you're with the heavyweight champion of the world. As a trusted advisor. Please. Oh my God.
I love that.
Thank you. And that's why I do it because I know when you are in a room and you are positioned and you're equipped, you have no choice but to thrive. You have no choice but to do what you're destined to do, whether you're scared or not. And it's just the most beautiful thing to see them. And you never know who's going to be on my team. Yeah. You'll have publicists, people in marketing, you'll have people in media overall. Yeah. You also have some people who work in healthcare who are taking a bet on themselves. And I noticed that bet on their resume and I'm like, this would be the moment that if God is ready for you to step into this,
his will.
You do it.
Yeah.
And I want you to be there to feel it and see it and push yourself into that thing. And it may not be the time, but at least you got to see what your life could be. At least you got to see all of your favorite celebrities as human.
Yeah.
And realize that the legacy that you're creating could be just as beautiful, if not more beautiful in your own way as your favorite celebrities. There's so many like barriers to who we think we can become because we see people on TV. And I'm like, let's cut that right here. Me and Beyonce talking like this. God gave you a purpose and he gave me a purpose.
Yes.
I'm executing to the best of my ability and you are doing so in your right.
Yeah.
And I honor both of those journeys. I want them to see that too.
Yeah.
Like,
and we got to think just as highly of ourselves.
As we do as
like,
this one and that one.
Yeah.
I often say that in my spiel to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, and if you get starstruck, because there is like not an allowance for that because you're going to be working with everybody, anybody who's anybody, you know, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. So I have to really reiterate that. But I also say it in a loving way, like, hey, your legacy could be the thing that changes this world. Yeah. It will be if you allow God to work through you. Yeah. So, yeah, do it. Yeah. And also, like, shake your hands with confidence, knowing, like, I'm not only shaking a legend's hand, you're shaking a legend's hand as well. So,
come on.
Nice to meet you.
No,
that's how I want them to see it. So, girl, it's a whole sphere of just like blessed. Yeah. Dang, thank you, God. Yeah. You did your big one again. And all the fruits they're just around the world. They're everywhere. They're thriving. Yeah. They're doing amazing things. I see them on Instagram all the time. And I'm like, oh my God. Thank you, God. Yeah. Like, you connected us. Yeah. And they're doing what you asked them to do. Yeah. Period. Come on. Like, I could sleep after that. Like, okay.
I love that. I love that. And I love it even more just because I got to see you chat with Priscilla at the Can We Talk Symposium. Yeah. That was such a like beautiful moment. That was my first time working with her. Yeah. And it's so funny because we were talking after like a couple days the following week and she was like, I didn't tell you what to do. You just jumped in and did it. Oh, girl. And I was like, yeah.
And you did.
You know, and it was
I could feel that. I was like.
Yeah. It was such a good time. Yeah. And same to what you're speaking to, because this is like everything that I'm, you know, building or navigating, I'm doing it with God. Yeah. I was like, I'm feeling this pivot and I'm just like committing to it. Yeah. I'm committing to the pivot. So God, like, your will be done in this. And it's so funny to something that we were talking about earlier because I actually asked because I'm literally about to crack up right now. I really admire Crystal Renee Hazlett. Her journey, her story is so beautiful to me. And so I told God, I said, yeah, whatever that looks like, I would like that for that day.
I love that.
And did not have to do one thing. Wow. Did not have to do one thing. And he made it so. Yeah. And I, you know, learned so much and I just had such a great time. But that was just such a beautiful like opportunity and moment because it also signaled to me, it's like, you got this. You could do this.
No, you are doing it. You know? Like, and you are that girl. Yeah. You are exactly who you think you are. Yeah. And I felt it in the energy that we said hello. Yeah. And I was like, trust his space. Thank you, Jesus. She's a vessel. Okay.
You did say that too. Right.
But more than that, I could feel that you were shifting things that weren't yours to carry, but you were handling them. And I was like, I'm so proud of her. Yeah. And for us to be like the first time that we kind of like met, yes. I was like, yes. Yeah. I was rooting for you so bad like that day, despite having the flu and whatnot, girl, that I found out after. Right. I was like, she's so great. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy. You are exactly who you think you are.
Thank you.
If not more. Oh. Like, if not more, your spirit is exactly who you think you are, exactly who God said it is. Thank you. It's the most beautiful thing to witness. Thank you. So I'm happy.
I didn't ask him to tell me how he see me and period.
Girl, like, a boss.
Oh, thank you.
But a gentle giant as well.
Wait, like, I'm actually gonna cry. What? Okay. Wait, no, because I was reading. I was in high school. I did like the newspaper. I did the newspaper as part of the newspaper club, and then I took a journalism class in high school. Okay. And the teacher really like helped me like hone in on like writing. She was like, "Oh, you're really good. Like, you know, you could like, you know, do X, Y, and Z." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, me like really." And going to college, whatever, she gets me like the referral. And I found that in my phone the other day, and I was reading it, and she literally called me a quiet force.
You are.
And I was like, that literally was like, it just like shook me. I was
yeah, those. I love how God will remind you of who He already said you
Yeah.
are. He's like, I told you, but you couldn't hear
ooh,
me.
yeah,
But I don't mind saying it again,
Yeah.
which is the most beautiful thing about God is like,
Yeah.
He doesn't mind telling you again
Yeah.
and again until you feel it in your spirit and then
Yeah.
you're walking in it.
Yeah.
And then even while you're walking in, He's like, hey, and by the way, you remember what I called you, right?
Yeah.
Because the world will tell you so many other things.
Mhm.
Your mistakes will tell you so many other things. Your doubt will tell you so many other things.
The enemy, yeah.
That little
That's
boy.
a whole nother story.
That little boy. And whole
Mischievous.
time, you are.
Yeah.
You are. And those are the most amazing forces.
Yeah.
The ones that are quiet but are shaking rooms.
Yeah.
Like, period,
Yeah,
friend.
Thank you.
Girl.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that He brought that to your remembrance. That means that you are about to walk in that like you have never walked in it before.
Yeah.
Because when God says it again, oh, He's not saying it just to remind you. He's
Yeah.
saying to step into it.
Yeah.
It's like, own it. And I'm so happy that you said like, and I'm committed to the pivot.
Yeah.
It's like good because I was gonna, we was gonna have to do that anyway.
Right. Whether you were going board or not, like I was in that boat.
That. Oh my God.
I'm cracking up. Yeah. So okay, I want to touch on one more thing, which is kind of like going back to the transformational coaching and speaking, and like hosting, because like your host, you just did. What's the name of the brunch you just hosted?
Run the World.
Run the World brunch.
Yes.
It looks so beautiful.
Thank you. It was so fun.
It was so amazing just to like see it come together on social. And so, how did you get started into like hosting? Like for anybody who, what are like some practical like tips you can share? Because I feel like there's so many different styles and ways people can host. Yeah. But I love the route that you're taking. I love the events that you host. I love what you're leaning into. And so for anybody who's trying to like get their foot in that and just kind of start, like what are some tips?
Yeah. So I started in college. So I think start where you are. Like hosting is not always being the person that's like, what's up, y'all? Sometimes it's hosting and just bringing people together in the form of hosting as like an actual correspondent. Practically start where you are. Like if there is a community that you desire to be a part of and you're not a part of it, join it or create your own and then host people. And the more that you understand what people need in terms of like energy wise, the more that you can show up. But also, you know, I like to bring 3 E's, excitement, energy, and empathy. So I'm bringing the energy. Like I'm bringing the energy of whatever the purpose of this event is. The purpose is to connect musicians. I'm knowing about the musicians. I'm studying up on that. So studying up on those things so I can speak to them during the day. Secondly, excitement, because I'm grateful to be here and I want you to feel it, whether it's hot, 95 degrees, we outside. Like bringing that excitement keeps people enjoying the experience that they paid for. And then lastly, empathy, because always being compassionate, like always realizing that this is somebody's worst day turned good. You could be the one reason why they believe in life again. You could be the one reason why they start live events. Like you never know when your hand is on that mic. So really just carrying that with, you know, with excitement, energy, and empathy. But more than anything, like start where you are for sure. Right now, there's someone waiting to be hosted. There are people on Saturday night, Friday night, Thursday night waiting to be, you know, hosted. So definitely. But yeah, I started in college. I was like hosting step shows and pageants and starting in that space. And I was like, ooh, I love that I can command a room in a way that doesn't feel like arrogant. It feels like I'm just welcoming you along the vibe that you were already supposed to have, but I'm just making sure of it. Right. Because like I don't want us to like, you know, you get aggravated about something, now your day's ruined. Like I want us to keep the energy going and I want us to meet each other and be personable. But I also think a host sets the tone. Like the host sets a safe space. So even for Run the World brunch, I'm like, brunches of any kind or women empowerment things can be very frightening for some people. So making sure that people were greeted with love and that they were treated with respect and that everybody felt like a big deal. Like, yes, you look good, girl. Yes, you look amazing. Like, because I know how it feels to go somewhere and feel like, oh my God, I'm not all the way put together. I don't know, and I don't know who I'm going to meet. But when you feel like everybody's a big deal, you walk in like, this is for me. So I really own it. I love hosting so much. Anything that allows me to use my voice to push people to amazing energy and then also the light within them. Whether it's like a stage, like a festival, or just like a brunch, you know, I'm down. Like I love that. It's one of my newfound favorite things. More than just like speaking like this, but also just speaking to the room and letting people feel it. I'm just like, thank you, God. This voice of mine, I'm very grateful to own it now.
Yes, I love that. I love that. We're going to transition to passing the pen.
Okay.
So I'm going to read you a question, a listener question, and let's see what gems you can drop or like what advice you can share.
I love that. I love that.
So, Erica, could you share some practical advice on how to effectively manage multiple high-impact projects while still maintaining a strong sense of purpose and drive? Additionally, how do you ensure that your efforts in storytelling and community building resonate and make a difference?
Those questions are beautiful. Wow. I love those. First things first, I have not always been the most organized. So I would definitely say finding a system that works for you, like finding a system that allows you to fit in time for the actual work, but also time for like exhaustion and rest and play. Because when you're managing multiple high impact things, like you have to be really organized, but you also have to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Like at every fork in the road, I will do like fully unimaginable things like the BET Awards and the panels that we did with the NFL and activations. And there will be one thing that goes wrong and like I'm harping on that one thing and I'm like, oh my God, but that was amazing. Oh my God. So really taking like all of the full encompass of everything and saying like, okay, here's what I did extremely well.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that the next time I do it 10 times better. And then secondly, here's the things that I didn't do so well for. What support do I need? Delegating is my new favorite thing because even if you are an intern, you can delegate.
Yeah.
You can always delegate your time and your energy. So realizing that if you're working on a high impact project and it's supposed to impact so many people, you shouldn't be doing it alone.
Yeah.
Asking for help, allowing people to show up for their own expertise is something that's super important because you can be the mogul and also have some weak spots, some blind spots, and knowing when to delegate. And then you mentioned about community and storytelling.
Yes. How do you ensure that your efforts in storytelling and community building truly resonate and make a difference?
I love that. How do I make sure? I leave it to God to make sure. I think what I do is make sure that I show up with authenticity, making sure that I'm true to who I am in this very season, this chapter, this page of my story, and giving what I have. What I have packaged how I need it to be packaged.
Yeah.
And whatever else happens, I allow God to do so. When it comes to storytelling, I'm very big on showing the process. People call me EK the Mogul, but really I call myself the mogul in the making. It's the in the making that I cherish, not the mogul. The mogul is cute. That's my girl. But it's really in the making that has allowed me to sustain this. So when I think about storytelling, I always want to show people that the focus should not be the destination. The destination is, there is none. We're like, sorry to break it, but there's not really a destination.
Yeah.
I don't want to land anywhere and arrive. I want to continue arriving. And this is just one stop on my journey.
Yeah.
I aced that, I aced this. But what led me to those points is the grit that I gained throughout the journey. It's the grace that I gained, the persistence, the patience. It's also the times where I fell flat on my face and had to pick myself back up.
Yeah.
That's the mogul.
Yeah.
And I want people to focus so much on the process. So when you think about storytelling, tell the full story, not the part that you think people want to see. Because it's not doing anyone good service when you're telling the things that you think people want to see, as opposed to your authentic truth and what really matters to you.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about like wanting to attract and be around people that are true to you. You know, storytelling is so important because you can really leave out a whole lot.
Yeah.
I could just be the mogul, period. But I actively choose to show and speak about every shortcoming, every mistake, every worry, to show people that you can be both. That I am this woman because of all those things that I've endured.
Yeah.
I am this woman because of all the things that I have pushed through, all the worries that I pushed through, all the doubt. That is the process, and that is what's worthy to me, because without that, there would be no mogul. And so for y'all, just own your story.
Yeah.
Like the good, the bad, the indifferent, all of it is serving its purpose, and all of it will build the community that is most authentic to who you're supposed to serve. Otherwise, it will be counterfeit.
Yeah.
And it will not last.
Yeah.
And it will be a sad shame.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the people gonna know
We're
too
not doing
if it's
that.
counterfeit.
Right. And I don't want us to live with it. Like I want us to live fully.
Yeah.
Like in all of it, like feel it for real.
Yeah.
Like the love,
Yeah.
the community, the authenticity, the bonding that we do. It just,
Yeah.
you feel it
Yeah.
differently. And I
Yeah.
want people to feel that.
Yeah.
Not anything less.
Yeah.
So, long story long. Yeah.
I always say, do the work and be open to the outcome.
I love
Have
that.
open palms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Whatever.
Thank
lands.
you.
Yes. Okay, so I'm really curious to know if you were to create a soundtrack for your journey thus far.
Yes.
What 3 songs?
Ooh, girl. Okay. What 3 songs? Let me get in my bag. Hold on.
That's what I'm talking about.
One song that has to be on there because it is the catalyst of my journey is "You Will Win" by Jacqueline Carr.
I know that song. Yeah.
That song right there. If you play it right now, strings. Another song right now. Another gospel song because God is my dog. Is
what's that song? That's my dog. You know that song?
That's my dog.
Oh, yeah.
That's my dog. It's what is the name of the song? Jubilee by Maverick City Music. Because long story short, God is truly a redeemer, and if He said it, He gonna do it. And if He said it 25 years ago, it's coming to pass. Yeah. So,
happy one.
And I'll also "Me, Myself, and I" by Beyonce because I love that song. I think what she was yearning for was community, but she decided to say, you know what, but it's me, myself, and I. And I love that.
Because until I'm there, I got me.
I got my back. And I love that. I love that's me, myself, and I. That's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. Because it ain't enough. That's why she's singing, not me.
No,
because I don't got the lyrics. But I got
I was about to say, I forgot to even touch on the fact that you went to a performing arts middle school, right?
I mean, high school. Yes.
Then we're going to have to link up again, girl, because
we got to bring it back.
And you just blessed us with some vocals.
I love y'all. And I love her. So it's only right.
Well, thank you. I'm going to cherish that moment. Okay, so tell me how you're pushing the pen.
Oh my God, I'm pushing the pen. Wow. First of all, I love this title. I'm pushing the pen by being authentic, being audacious, and also advocating for myself every single time.
Yeah.
That's how I'm pushing the pen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Period. Tell us, we didn't even get to every single thing, which we knew, but tell us what we can look forward to. Yes. If you want to share anything about Two Things Can Be True,
absolutely.
Tell the people, and then tell them where they can find you.
Yeah. So, one, you can really look forward to my new podcast series on Woman of Tomorrow. It's called Two Things Can Be True, and it's all about our seasons of grit, grace, persistence, and patience, and everything in between. That's every Monday on the dot. On Woman of Tomorrow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Watch the YouTube so you can see the vibes, okay, and the fits. But also you can follow me and continue the journey of this thing called life at EK the Mogul on all platforms. Come find me in real life, though. Come to my events, come support, link up, let's connect. I'm all about it in real life. So, yes, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
Girl, this is such an amazing, amazing platform that you're building, and I'm just grateful to be number 7.
Yes, come on.
The number of completion.
Yes, it was destined to be.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for just hanging out with us for season 1. You can keep up with me at brooklyn.simone on Instagram. You can keep up with all the clips and more at pushing.thepen on Instagram. And we will see you next time.
Yay!
So good.
It's so right.